We're always told to forgive and forget. But what if that's actually bad advice? Today, we're exploring those moments when choosing not to forgive is the wisest and, honestly, the most powerful path forward.
So let's just get right to it. Forgiveness. We're told it's this noble thing we have to do to move on. But is there a line, a point where forgiving someone actually does more harm than good? That's the big question we're digging into today.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea, right? For so many people, this is a real, gut-wrenching crossroads. It's you weighing your own well-being against what everyone else thinks you should do.
Okay, so to even begin to answer that, we've got to bust some major myths. Before we can figure out when not to forgive, we need to get crystal clear on what forgiveness really is, and maybe more importantly, what it isn't.
So, at its very core, forgiveness is something that happens inside you. It's a conscious choice you make for your own freedom, to let yourself out of that emotional jail of anger and resentment. It's all about your peace. It is not about letting the other person off the hook.
This really lays out the biggest misunderstanding we have to get past. We're taught forgiveness is this gift we give to someone else, that it means you have to forget what happened and, just be friends again. But the reality? It's the complete opposite. It's something you do for yourself, and it has absolutely nothing to do with reconciling.
And honestly, this is where it gets really powerful. Think about it. You can forgive someone to get your own peace back, and at the exact same time, decide you're never going to speak to them again. You don't have to trust them. You don't have to pretend it didn't happen. Forgiveness is your choice, not your duty.
Okay, so now that we've cleared all that up, we can get to the heart of it. Let's look at those specific times when saying no to forgiveness is not just okay, but absolutely necessary for your own protection.
So, when is it a bad idea? Well, the sources point to 4 big red flags. First up, no remorse. If the person who hurt you denies it, doesn't feel bad, or just keeps doing it, forgiving them is like saying what they did was okay. Second, ongoing harm. You'd never forgive someone if it means walking right back into a dangerous situation, right? And the last 2 are all about your own integrity, when people are pressuring you to forgive, or when doing so would just feel like a betrayal of who you are. And that, right there, is the huge danger of forced forgiveness. When people, family, friends, whoever, are telling you to just get over it, it can feel like you're being betrayed all over again. It completely dismisses your pain, it silences your story, and that can make the original wound even deeper.
So this all leads to a really important question, doesn't it? If you don't forgive, are you just stuck? Are you doomed to be bitter and angry for the rest of your life? Can you even heal? And the answer is a huge, resounding no. And honestly, this might be one of the most freeing ideas in this whole explainer. Healing is about getting yourself back to a good place. Forgiveness is about letting go of resentment. They are 2 totally separate things.
You can find that peace, that well-being, by focusing on something completely different, building strong, healthy boundaries. And the key thing here is that boundaries are not about punishing someone else. They're about protecting yourself. They're about your safety and your own peace of mind.
A good way to think about it is like this. You've got 3 separate paths you can walk down. There's justice, which is about accountability. There's healing, which is all about making yourself whole again. And then there's forgiveness, which is about releasing your own anger. And here's the kicker. You can have 1 or 2 of these without the third. They're not a package deal.
Now look, choosing not to forgive isn't some magic easy button. It can be tough. It can mean carrying around some heavy emotions for a while. But it's also an incredibly powerful way to protect yourself. It reinforces your boundaries, it validates your experience, and it demands that people be held accountable for their actions. Which really brings us to the one question you have to ask yourself. Is holding onto this unforgiveness a prison that's keeping you trapped, or is it a fortress that's keeping you safe? And only you can answer that. And you know what? That answer might even change over time.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together, because the final takeaway here is maybe the most important one. It all boils down to understanding the power that you have in this situation.
True strength isn't about blindly forgiving everyone for everything. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing, but that's exactly what it is, a tool, not a rule. And just like any tool, it's amazing in some situations, and frankly, the wrong choice in others. Real wisdom is knowing when to use it and when to pick up a different tool, like setting a firm boundary.
So, saying no isn't a failure. It's not a sign that you're weak or bitter. In fact, Sometimes the bravest and most healing thing you can possibly do is to look at a situation and say, with total clarity, no, I will not forgive you for that. That's not weakness. That is profound self-respect.
Because at the end of the day, nobody else gets to decide this for you. Not your family, not your friends, not society. Your healing journey is yours and yours alone. The only right choice is the one that honors your truth and serves your well-being.
So what's the one thing to remember from all of this? It's simple. We live in a world that constantly tells us we should forgive. But you have to remember that your well-being, your safety, your sanity, your truth, that comes first, always. So whether you choose forgiveness or you choose a courageous refusal, the choice that protects you is always the right one.